What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Today I'm going to go over my thoughts on the Ubisoft presentation and the Capcom Showcase 2023. There were a lot of games that were unveiled or recovered from these companies that I want to talk about, and overall why I thought these presentations were fairly lackluster. JT. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and bell for notifications so you do not miss an upload. Also, check out smashjt.com. These are the articles that I'm going to be covering today. Ubisoft Forward 2023, all the highlights and big reveals, and Capcom Showcase 2023 was a mix of anticipation and disappointment. So first off, Ubisoft, because that was the first one, Ubisoft Forward. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the current situation that Ubisoft is in right now, they are struggling. Financially, they're facing a lot of challenges. They've let go a good amount of employees, redirected current employees to focus more on specific franchises, and are just desperate for a mega hit. And it's been a while. They've had some success with Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, and if you go far enough back, Prince of Persia. But other than that, not really. I will kick this off by saying there was a severe lack of Beyond Good and Evil 2 again. And that's one of those games that was such a banger when they first showed it that I was like, okay, that's a game that could save Ubisoft, at least temporarily. But because it hasn't had any updates in what feels like the better part of 8 years, 7 years? When was the last time they talked about it? They still have the official website up here, and they still have that original trailer for it that went up like 8 years ago. But the latest update was, we're going on almost exactly 3 years ago. Space Monkey Program, the road ahead. As we announced last year, we are currently concentrating on core development and production milestones. So rest assured that Beyond Good and Evil 2 is well underway. July 2020. And that was last year now, so that was 2019. So we're now 4 years removed from concentrating on core development for this game. I mean, we're getting up there with Duke Nukem levels of development hell with this game. This is probably going to take the crown. This game, the development hell it's been through and the lack of updates. I mean, the fact that they didn't even provide a trailer, a teaser, any updates on it speaks volumes for where they're at with that game right now. In the desperate situation that Ubisoft find themselves in, I'm shocked. But anyways, now that Beyond Good and Evil 2 is out of the way, let's see, talk about a couple of things. Prince of Persia, I mean, mixed reviews online. I see people said the animated trailer reveal looked good. I don't know. Like, it was fine. I'm not much of a Prince of Persia gamer, but it does kind of have some Metroid Dread vibes, at least with the gameplay trailer they showed during the Xbox showcase. But most of the complaints online for this one, if we look at the likes and dislikes, it's almost double, more than double, 2.5 times the amount of dislikes than likes for this game. And there's a lot of people talking about how they're upset with the design of the character. He doesn't look Persian. It's woke trash, all this other stuff. And I'm like, all right, but we're just commenting on the character design right now. I care more about how the game plays and if it's fun. And that remains to be seen. So I have my eyes on this one. But again, there's a lot of people that are not too happy with the direction that Ubisoft is taking that. Assassin's Creed Mirage and Assassin's Creed Virtual Reality and Assassin's Creed Mobile taking place in 3rd century era China. So lots of Assassin's Creed stuff. Like I said with the Xbox presentation, that's kind of their go-to, their annualized game somehow, or every other year somehow, putting out a massive game world. It makes them money, but it's one of the few successes that Ubisoft has, and I feel like they're kind of grinding this stone into dust right now. I don't know what else they have. Skull and Bones, I mean, to be honest, I even said I thought this was canceled last year, but no, they gave an update on Sea Shanty Skull and Bones, and I don't know, it looked all right, but I mean, to me, it's Assassin's Creed on a boat. Oh, just play Black Flag at that point. Star Wars Outlaws. This is the one that I think is going to, at least for the short term, save Ubisoft's behind financially. If this game is good, I feel like there's going to be a ton of traction in the community to be playing this one. There's a quick look at it here.
Hey, Nick! Catch!
Pretty good graphics.
This is getting bad.
Good action scene here. Kind of like Uncharted or a third-person Halo type game. It looks pretty good.
Get me.
There's another part, riding the hover motorcycle.
There's Jonta's hope. We made it, Nick.
And then the scene in the table
You
here.
won't make it off to Shara alive. Maybe.
It's got all the elements of the Star Wars universe, so lots of potential. Lots of potential with this one. It's one of the few Ubisoft games that I am looking forward to, or have looked forward to, in the past decade. It's been a while. So Star Wars Outlaws is one that I'm definitely watching. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. It's kind of interesting between Star Wars and Avatar. It kind of feels like Ubisoft is turning into the modern day version of THQ.
Everything
We all know what happened to THQ. But
there I remained for 15
looks interesting enough.
free to explore my world. Free to decide who I was going to be. Free to discover what I was meant to do.
The graphics look decent enough. I mean, if you're a fan of Avatar, I'm sure this is going to be right up your alley. I don't know. Again, I go back to the Xbox showcase. I need more time. I don't think I'm going to have time for this one, but it looks good enough. I mean, short of like 10 out of 10 best game of the year potential, I don't think I'm going to be going close to that one. So that was the Ubisoft overall. I was kind of like, it was fine, I guess. It was nothing surprising, nothing unexpected. It was just very straightforward and delivered everything except Beyond Good and Evil 2 that I was looking for. But yeah, that was it for Ubisoft. Now let's move on to the Capcom showcase, which, to be honest, it was bad. It was not a good showcase overall. I mean, there were a couple highlights, and I don't want to like overreact and be like, oh my god, Capcom's horrible. No, Capcom's had a banger of a year between Street Fighter 6 and the Resident Evil 4 remake. I mean, they've just, and Resident Evil Village last year, like, they've been just banger after banger recently. So I don't want to knock Capcom just off the shoot, but this showcase left a lot to be desired. There was no updates on any new Resident Evil stuff. There was no updates on any Dino Crisis. There was no... And I'll go through them, but I'm just going through what they didn't talk about. But even some of the things they did talk about were just kind of like, meh. This Mega Man X Dive Offline trailer. I first heard it, I was like, okay, Mega Man? Alright, I'm cool with this. What do we got? And I'm like, oh, it looks like Mega Man. And then at the end, it's like, it's a Steam game, but it's really a mobile game. And I'm like, oh, well, no, I don't play Mega Man on my mobile phone. But Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, this was revealed during the Xbox showcase yesterday. This one looks interesting enough. I'm getting some serious Ghosts of Tsushima vibes with it. But nothing really new compared to what they showed. I mean, it was kind of, the surprise was kind of out of the bag with that during the Xbox showcase. It looks interesting though. That one, that's not a bad one. That one's like, okay, I got my eyes on that one. Alright, cool. Pragmata. This is the one that I'm like really hyped for. This one is top tier, AAA. Probably going to be a day one purchase for me. And they showed this new trailer. It looks absolutely incredible. The graphics, the trailer itself looks fantastic. But then it drops this note. And I'm like, what's that? What's that? 2022? Not very sorry. I'm like, oh wait, this is their announcement for delaying the game, and there's no release date. There's no update as to when it's coming out, and they leave this little thing at the end saying, "It's with a heavy heart that we must further postpone, and we have no idea when this game's coming out." I'm like, cool. So 2024, maybe. 2025? Like, at this point, like, we're just gonna fall back into is this gonna be the next Beyond Good and Evil 2 game? Pragmata. It looks awesome though. Capcom Town. This is actually pretty cool. I checked this out last night and did an article on it here. It goes through everything Capcom Town offers. It's an online website. It's pretty neat. It's got a bunch of old school retro games you can play for free on your computer, just in your browser, and there's like a museum you can go to with all this original artwork, and it's free. And I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. So Capcom Town was another one of those. All right, cool. We got a couple things here. We got Kunitsugami and we got Capcom Town, but Pragmata being delayed with no release date was just kind of a huge letdown. Ghost Trick, they put a lot of emphasis on Ghost Trick, and while it looks cool, it's, at the end of the day, a remaster of the game that, I believe, what was it, on the DS that this came out, or 3DS? Which I never played it, but it looks fun.
Night of Mystery begins anew.
But it's just
rookie detective
weird
brimming with a sense of justice.
How much focus they put on this game just to announce another game during this showcase. But it's just a remaster of a DS game. So I was like, alright, cool. If I want to play it, I can just pick up the DS game right now. That's not really that super exciting. But alright, maybe I'll check it out. It's going to be download only, by the way. So, yeah. Ace Attorney. I never got into the Ace Attorney series. I saw some people, I saw Stealth on Twitter being like super hyped for this. This is like apparently the second of the trilogy. So 3 through 6 or 4 through 6 or whatever of the Ace Attorney games is going to be download only as well. Remade with new languages and HD graphics. I was like, alright, cool. If you like Ace Attorney, it's something to get hyped for. I don't, but whatever. That's to each their own. Exoprimal. This one is looking pretty decent. And while there was no Dino Crisis unveiled, they did have more details on Exoprimal. I believe this was first announced last year, if I remember correctly. But it looks pretty cool. It's like you go through gateways and portals for enemies to come out and attack. It kind of reminds me of that Astral Chain. It's got the mechs. It's got different outfits you can get, and the graphics look good. It kind of reminds me of Anthem almost, with the jetpacks on these guys. I'm like, all right, cool. If it plays well enough, this might be a game that I'm interested in. But again, it really has to be a banger for me to want this one day one. So it depends on what the reviews are going to say and if I'm going to have enough time to play it. But for me, I was just kind of like, all right, Exoprimal looks all right. Dragon's Dogma 2. And I hear great things about it. People are talking about how amazing it is and how awesome Dragon's Dogma is. And as far as I am concerned, it looks fantastic. The game world is 4 times the size of the original one, and yeah, again, it's another one of those games where I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough time for Dragon's Dogma 2, and so the trailer wasn't exactly fresh. It debuted in 2012, so yeah, 4 times the size of the original game, and it came out in 2012. So that was basically the Capcom showcase. Left a lot to be desired. There was nothing coming out of this where I was like hyped. There's nothing like super exciting about it. To me, it was an overall meh. Ubisoft was a little bit more than meh, but still not that big of a show, not that fun. I keep going back to the Xbox game showcase with Starfield. Really knocked it out of the park just because Starfield carried it. It was all that game and that game alone. Ubisoft Forward, nah. Capcom showcase, nah. I wasn't feeling them. Maybe you guys feel differently, but to me, both of these were just kind of like very bland. I was hard to get excited for any of this stuff, and I don't want to sound like a ungrateful first world problems take on this. I keep going back to when you got games like Tears of the Kingdom and Starfield coming out, and a bunch of like smaller indie games that are out in the meantime. It's really hard to get excited for a huge AAA title that isn't a surprise, that isn't new. And that was another thing between Ubisoft and Capcom. There were so many sequels instead of original IPs that are coming forward that it was just like, are we just going to just fall back on, we need to make sure what we're selling is a known brand? And that's the business world of the video game industry today. We can't take chances anymore. Which you could say Pragmata is a chance, and I'm like, yeah, let's take a chance, and it's also not coming out anytime soon. So, yeah, I guess that's where I'm at. I'm not going to pretend to be super excited about these, because I'll be honest, they kind of were pretty lame. And I'm not sad. I got other games to be playing, but there's nothing from these that were just like, oh my god, it blew me away. And in a weird way, probably a good thing that there's no E3 this year, because I mean, this is perfectly fine. Just watching these presentations online to see what they got, and then moving on with our days. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. But let me know what you guys thought about the Ubisoft Forward presentation and the Capcom event. If you had a different take than me, if you had games coming out that you're super hyped about, or games that I should definitely be playing that I'm not putting on my radar at all, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
Smash it, change,